Hey, and welcome. Today we are talking about homeschool freedom because guess what? It's not just about legal homeschool freedom. We're talking about inside your house. And I know it's not what you think, but it's very impactful to your kid's future because we're coming up in just a few days on July 4th and America's 250th anniversary. Woo woo! And it really caused me to think about the Freedom Scholar. Did you know that the Freedom Scholar started out as a blog about freedom and learning about freedom, studying it and living it? It's actually part of a lot of my passion, but it applies directly to homeschool because you know what? I am a military brat. I'm a Navy brat. My dad was in the Navy career over 20 years. Both my grandparents were in the military. One of my grandfathers was World War II and Korea. And I can tell you that for me, learning about freedom was essential because it's about something we cultivate and we pass on. And that's huge for our kids in our home when we talk about the future adults that we're trying to raise. And for me, it really changed how I was thinking about homeschooling because freedom is not guaranteed success, it's the opportunity. And that's what we have with homeschooling. We have an opportunity. But are we really cultivating the kids who are taking ownership and are able to take those opportunities in their future as adults? That's what we want for our kids. That's what I hear from parents all the time in every single conversation I have. That's what I want for my son. But a lot of the parents that I talk to that have kids that are grown and who have been through the school system, they're not super excited about the way their kids are owning life necessarily. It's a lot of what I hear all the time. And I want to talk today about why so many of us take our kids out of school or we start homeschooling them from the start with that system that didn't honor that taking the ownership, that freedom to develop a lifelong learner. And then we rebuild the exact system inside our home. Did you do that? I totally get it. It's normal. It's what we know. A lot of times we just don't know any different, but we didn't like that system. And really, there are two kinds of freedom that we're all about when we're starting homeschooling. And whether it's coming out of school or whether we're starting from scratch, there are two kinds of freedom that we are looking at, which is freedom from and freedom to. Those are very different things, but we chose to homeschool because we wanted freedom from a system designed for just the average kid, not necessarily our kid. We wanted freedom from the feeling that something is wrong with our kid because they don't fit the mold. We wanted freedom from learning on someone else's timeline in the way that they think our kids should learn, not in the way our kids actually do. You know what I'm saying? We also wanted the freedom to, and the freedom to design a system that for us was specific to where our kids were at right now and how we know our kids learn best and how their brains actually work. We also wanted a safe environment for them. And we wanted to raise kids who are curious, confident, motivated, lifelong learners that really know how to own their own education, which means owning their life, owning their family, and their world, right? So we have two separate types of freedom. And I talk about that in terms of where we're coming from and where we're headed, what we want. The problem is that as we get down the road, as we even start sometimes, some of y'all started that way, and I did. I know started that way. The freedom to part, that whole freedom to part, we wanted it, but we used the freedom from system. We know that's the system that didn't work. And we employ it into our homes thinking that it's going to give us all these different results, when in fact it really doesn't. And it can be really hard. And that pressure that you felt from you wanted that freedom from that pressure, whether it be your own pressure, because you knew right away when your kids turned 5, they weren't going to start that system because we know it wasn't great for us or maybe your other kids. And maybe you pulled your kids out because you wanted that freedom from, you felt the pressure, you felt it wasn't working for us. We didn't fit that mold. And what's behind that is the pressure, right? And you employed the pressure, it followed you. That pressure followed you home. It just put on a new pair of clothes. It just changed rooms. And you know this if you're checking boxes to prove that learning happened, you're feeling behind, even though what are we behind from? And compared to what, right? Maybe you're pushing and you're reminding and you're correcting and you just like, I just want to connect with my kids. That's what you're feeling, but you find yourself pushing more. Your child maybe stopped getting curious. Maybe love of learning was already low at school and now it stayed low because you just took it home with you. You took that system home with you, what you were escaping from. And maybe your child is not as curious and they're doing the things, but they're just not having fun with it. I've had moms tell me that their kids come to them and say, Mom, this should be more fun. Literally, parents that have always homeschooled and their kids are coming to them, younger kids too, like even 6-year-olds saying, Mom, this should be more fun. We need to have more fun. That hurts a mama's heart. I know I felt that. And I've literally heard parents tell me this, that they want to just have more fun. The kids want to have more fun. What's stopping us is the fear of doing it wrong, the fear of not doing enough, the fear of judgment from everybody else about they're behind, they're blah, blah, whatever, they should know this. The fear that if you don't apply external structure, external force, everything falls apart and no learning will get done. And it puts us in managing mode, which is exactly the system that we came from, whether it be ourselves or our kids, that we were trying to get freedom from. So what I want you to think about is how would it look for us to employ that freedom into our home? Because our kids' brains don't work well. I mean, whose does? Under the pressure and the control and just constant stress. When motivation comes from the outside all the time, you're never going to get it from the inside of the kids. The kids are never going to be curious. Does that make sense? I mean, we don't think about it, but it makes sense, right? We don't think about it that way, but it's just what is. And when you hear it, you're like, oh, that does make sense. I get that. Because that's how everybody is. When we have external pressure on us all the time, we don't feel motivated, right? We don't feel super curious. We don't feel that. We feel stress and we feel pressure, right? And so our kids are not going to do that either. Our kids are designed naturally to be curious, but that's coming from the inside. If they're not allowed to have that, then, and the pressure is always coming from outside, it's just not going to work. So when you do a lot of managing and when they learn to wait for the next thing, the next to do, the next task, the next instruction, and they're looking for it outside of themselves, that's what traditional school did, right? That's what I did when I was a teacher in high school. I was like, hey, everybody take out a piece of paper. Here's what we're doing. And if you didn't tell them something to do, they would literally just sit there. High schoolers would literally just sit there and do nothing. And then the moaning and the complaining would start. That's how it is. That's how our kids are too, right? Compliance is not ownership. Just because they're doing the work doesn't mean that they own it. And completed work is not the same as love of learning. Having that curiosity coming from them, smiles, the fun, the questions. What if, Mom, can we do this project? You can leave the system that wasn't working, that you wanted freedom from, and still raise a child who needs that system because you become the system. And I can tell you that's a huge burnout. I did it, and it only took 2 weeks for us to hate learning. We are both crying every day. And I just saw a post yesterday from a mom. She says, "We've been homeschooling for years, and I'm burnt out. I'm just about done. We took a little break for a few days, and I don't know. I still hate it." And she talked about the curriculum they were using. And maybe a new curriculum might be what they need. And my heart breaks because I don't want this mom to give up, because the problem isn't her kids. It's not even her. It's the system that they are using. They're using the same system that she didn't like, that wasn't any fun, that she wanted to do differently. She just didn't know how. She wanted that freedom, that curiosity. Oh, I felt so bad for this mom. And I hear it all the time. I hear it from moms in person, and I see it in them as well. So, what does it actually look like in your home when you're doing that homeschool freedom? I'm going to call it homeschool freedom because we generally think about homeschool freedom as like the legality and the regulations and things. But I want you to think about it in terms of your home. What does that look like? Well, I'm going to tell you what it's not. It is not just letting kids roam free doing whatever the heck they want. That's not what it is. It's not no structure, no expectations, no accountability. It's none of that. It's not passive parenting. I'm not telling you to do nothing and let them roam free. That would be the worst thing, right? Because they're not learning anything at that point. And they're not becoming the people who can own their learning. What it is, though, is it's structure that really serves the entire environment. It serves the child in the way that it's not a checklist. It encourages growth, encourages curiosity. It's leading from the relationship, from your connection with your kids and connection with learning, not from compliance. There is a place for some of the shoulds, but it does not have to look like what you think it looks like. And we can put it in other places besides learning. I've heard them say, my kid needs to write because he just needs to, because we have to do hard things. I want you to think about that and think about what message you're sending about learning. I'm not saying your kid doesn't need to learn to do hard things. They absolutely need to. But are they going to learn to do hard things when they don't love learning because you've killed writing for them? Speaking from a parent that did kill writing for my son for a long time, and we had to build it back because I pushed too hard. It was painful as an English teacher. It was painful, I'm telling you, to have my kid not like writing. But now he loves writing. He's writing a book, like a full adult book on AI and the safety of AI, and he's super passionate. He's writing a book. Weird, right? But that's because I shifted from managing to mentoring him. I created the space and the environment for freedom of learning to flourish and the inspiration of learning to flourish. Remember, it's not just letting them do whatever they want. We're mentoring them. We're giving them the structure around it, right? So we're building from the inside and gradually handing over ownership, but we're just giving them opportunities to grab it, is what we're doing. We're giving them opportunities to grab it, not all at once, but very intentionally. So I want you to think about this question in your mind. Have you ever said, did they finish the page? Did they finish the assignment? Or have you ever said, is this helping him grow into someone who can learn without me applying pressure? Because the first one, did he finish the assignment? That's managing. The second one, can you learn without me applying pressure? That's mentoring. Okay. This is exciting. I know it's like, whoo, I don't kind of know what you're talking about, Cammy, but I get the idea. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. So here's what nobody talks about. When your child starts owning the learning, you get something back too. You know what's great about them owning their learning? Taking a breath, taking the weight off your shoulders. When you create that environment, when you create that structure where learning can flourish from the inside, when you're not a manager, you're a mentor, when you have all this freedom in your homeschool, you get freedom from the pressure. You get freedom from the fear. You get freedom from, am I doing this right? Are we on the right track? We should be doing more. I don't know. Are they behind? Freedom from all of that. You get confidence that it's going amazing and we're learning all the time. And you should see the moms' faces when they are finally starting to learn just in through their environment and what they do, and some structured as well when they're ready. And their faces light up. Oh my gosh, we learned this and we learned that. And then we looked up this and then we talked about that. And then we read this. So excited. I see it all the time in parents that go through a reset, they create that environment, and it is the best feeling ever. It's so awesome. The shift to ownership just isn't good for only your kids, it's also good for you. Oh, that feeling is amazing. And it's really about what my grandfathers, my dad were doing when they were protecting freedom for our country. It's you passing on the ownership of them leading themselves and their freedom to take on opportunities and take risks and critically think and be prepared for future. And you're giving the world this beautiful young adult that will take opportunities and make the world better because of who they are. Isn't that what you want? That's what I want. I am visioning that every single day. And my son's already doing that. It didn't always look that way, though. I started out as a manager because that's what I was used to when I was teaching. That's what I was used to when I was in school, right? We have to develop kids that can own their own education if we're going to have any freedom from the fear and they're going to have any hope of becoming a lifelong learner and a leader. That's why it's so important. The freedom to actually happens. So it's the same thing as someone defending the country. It's the same thing as our military and our first responders and all of this. You're doing it in your homeschool as a parent and you're giving the world this beautiful person. It's so awesome. It's the freedom to visualized and realized in the world. And if this manager situation, if that resonated with you and you're like, that kind of is me. Or if you're scared to be that person, which I've talked to a lot of moms that are like, oh no, I've seen that. I don't want any of that. That's what I'm afraid of. That's not failure. You're not failing. If you're going through that right now, it's just the fear. And it's doing what fear does. It ruins stuff, right? The good news is that you can change it. It's like you build it and they will come. You build that culture, you build that environment, you build the structure, and that curiosity, that learning, that freedom too will come. It's so amazing. So I want you to think about, am I making decisions from the end goal, that person we're trying to create, or from the pressure of the moment? And if you are, like I said, it's totally fine. You haven't failed. It's all good. And I'm here for you. If that sounds like you, the Inspire Lifelong Learners Masterclass will definitely be your next step. It's a free masterclass that I offer. I actually have one coming up in 2 weeks, and I would love for you to check out the link in the show notes and make sure that you're there because I'm going to share exactly how to build this structure. and how to change that fear from it's running us and lowering our love of learning, making everything hard to the freedom to the beautiful, amazing culture where we can all thrive and we can all be curious learners and have kids that own their own education. It does happen. I promise. It's a real, real thing. No matter where you're starting from, it can happen for you. No matter how old your kids are, it can happen for you. I'm really excited to meet you in the masterclass. And if you've resonated with this at all, I would love for you to share this episode with somebody else who needs it. And if you are liking what you're hearing in this whole podcast, in our show in general, I would love for you to follow and subscribe to this YouTube channel. We're on podcasts and really get it out there to more people because isn't this a message everybody needs to hear? Wouldn't this free up so many parents from the pressure and it'll create beautiful, amazing kids that go out in the world and do what's theirs to do in the world and just lead freedom, right? So happy 4th, happy 250th. I'll talk to you again next week. Bye bye.